Welcome back. In this lecture, let's learn to interact with AWS S3 buckets using Boto3 package. I have all these buckets in my account. Let's get the data from this bucket. Let's design the code. Extract S3. Let's import Boto3. Let us also import config parser to get the configuration details for the credentials. Import config parser. Let's define configuration properties. Config is equal to config parser dot config parser config dot read config file name credentials dot cfg. Now let's define the credentials to connect with S3 buckets. S3 is equal to boto3 dot resource service name is equal to S3. Let's define the region. Region name is equal to US East 2. Let's define AWS access key ID. AWS access key ID is equal to, let's get it from config file. Config of S3 AWS access key ID. Now let's define secret. AWS secret access key is equal to config of S3 AWS secret access key. Let's print all the buckets in my AWS account. For bucket in S3 dot buckets dot all. Let's print bucket name. Bucket dot name. These are the list of buckets I have in my AWS account. Now let's print list of objects available within a bucket. For object in s3.bucket, let's define the object. Let's print the objects from employee details bucket. Dot objects dot all. Print object. These are the objects I have within employees detail bucket. This is my employees detail bucket and I have all these objects. Now let's print content of one of the object. Object is equal to s3 dot bucket of bucket name, employees details dot object, object name. Let's print the content of jobs.csv dot get. Let's print object. Here we have header packet of the object printed. We have all the properties of the file, saying the date it has been uploaded, the type of file, and the object storage. In order to print the content of the file, we need to print the body of the object. Let's say data is equal to object of body dot read. Let's print data. This is the content of the data. We have the header here and respectively the data of the file. We can also print the body in a dictionary format. Let's import CSV. Let us also import codecs to define the encoding properties. Import codecs. Let's define a code to print the results in dictionary format. Let's use the same object and print the records in dictionary format. For row in CSV dot dictreader codecs dot getReader, let's define the encoding property UTF-8. Let's get the body of the object. Object of body. Let's print the row. Print row. We got the content in a dictionary format. We can also download the data into our local system. Let's say s3 dot bucket. Let's define employees details bucket dot download file. K is equal to, let's download jobs.csv. file name is equal to, let's define the path and file name to be downloaded with. I have this directory and it has only one file called locations.csv. Let's download jobs.csv into this location. Let me define the path and the file name as jobs.csv. Let's execute the code. Code is successful. Let's check the directory. Jobs.csv is downloaded. This is the content of the file. Thank you. See you in the next lecture.